it's Lily. I have a cold, so let's see if I can get through this without sneezing into the microphone. I wrote a script. I'm probably just going to read it. So, how to take criticism from anyone, not just your friends and Sky Bros. In my first video, I came down a little too hard on the side of unmoderated positivity, so I want to correct my errors. Harsh critique can be valuable if it is actionable, and I should have made that clear. I was a bit reactionary, and I did not expect so many people to see and respond to my video, so I was not as measured as I could have been. I am very grateful that I was able to get a conversation going, though, and it's been really good to read everyone's comments, both agreeing and slightly disagreeing with me, and to have discussions about the value of criticism and how we should handle it as a community. I'm going to speak from the perspective of an artist for this video. There is one moment in my last video that really bothered me every time I saw it in someone else's reaction. The part where I said that I was content with only 50 people seeing my videos. That was a lie. The truth is that I would love for many, many more people to see and enjoy my work. Even if I never make money from this, even if it never becomes a career, I still want people to appreciate my art. That is natural for any artist, and I shouldn't have pretended like I'm above that. But the truth is that if you want to grow, you will need to take criticism, both harsh and gentle. You will need to be able to sort out what is useful and discard what isn't. This is a skill, and it takes time and effort, and it will definitely hurt at first. I do still think that it's best if someone requests critique specifically. That's why I asked for a criticism request channel to be created in the Skynet Discord. You could also put something in your description or at the end of your video if you want people to give you more feedback and not feel like they might be harming your creativity. I still don't want to say anything that might be discouraging to someone who is just starting out or who only wants to create AI videos and music as a hobby or as an outlet for emotions and trauma. So I personally want to know if you want true criticism. You are going to get unsolicited criticism if you choose to share anything on the internet. That's just a fact of life. Some of it will be good, some bad, some useful, and some just nasty and cruel. In my time as a writer, I have learned to distinguish between three kinds of critique. Useless nastiness, quote-unquote objective observations of flaws, and subjective matters of taste. You are going to get people who go into your comments and just to say that they hate it, or it's slop, or you should quit, or a million other discouraging things. You have to be able to discard those comments or reviews. You have to let it roll off you. That might actually be the easiest kind of critique to deal with, though, because it's not really critique at all. Once you learn to ignore it, it's not that bad. Those people don't really matter. Or I should say, those comments don't really matter. People matter. But you will also get criticism that actually means something, whether delivered gently or harshly. These critiques will point out actual flaws, or what the reviewer perceives to be flaws. No matter how kindly this is intended, they can sting because they will strike at your intentions and your skills. You will need to learn to divorce your feelings from your art. This can be very difficult, especially if you are just starting, or if the piece of art is particularly meaningful to your life or your experiences. Your art can feel like it is part of you. It's very common for writers and artists to refer to their works as their babies or children. But what you made is not you. Someone criticizing your art is not criticizing you. You must be able to separate the two. Even if someone says that your skills are not up to par, that is not a criticism of you as a person. It's a signpost along the way, a mile marker on your journey as an artist and a creator. Even if you make quote-unquote bad art, and millions of people agree that it's bad art, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't even mean that you're a bad artist. It just means that that particular piece didn't hit the mark, or it didn't resonate with that person, or you didn't have the skills yet to communicate your true intentions, or 100 other factors that can contribute to someone perceiving bad art in your creations. I put bad in quotes here because that is a completely subjective value judgment, and even the quote-unquote worst art can still be good and meaningful to the right person. At the very least, you should value your own creations, even if later you are able to look back on them and recognize their flaws. You should not be embarrassed of or hate your own art. You should be grateful for everything you were able to produce, because creativity is a gift that you are blessed to have, and the products of creativity are also blessings. No critique is truly objective because it will all be biased by the critiquer's experience and personal taste. But once you learn to view your own art through a somewhat separated lens, it will become easier and easier to accept observations of so-called, quote-unquote, objective flaws. You will be able to agree that yes, the timing on this clip was off, or you shouldn't have tried to prompt Grok to give you gunplay, or it would have been better to switch to this angle to show the story, or the music is too flat and lacks dynamics, or 1,000 other objective flaws in a piece of art. As your skills grow, you will also be able to see these flaws yourself, and hopefully you will have the time and tools to correct them before sharing your own work with the world. Still, it is good and useful to have other people teach you about these. And as you improve and you learn the rules of your chosen art form, you can choose to break those rules on purpose. Some of the best art in the world deliberately chooses to break as many rules as possible. It is important to understand what the rules are and why they exist before you start breaking them, though. Purposeful, quote-unquote, flaws can be features if chosen with care and reason. Purposeful flaws can also be the most pretentious and heinous works in the world. It can be hard to tell the difference. An outside perspective can keep you from getting your nose too far up in the air if you are willing to listen. And then there are matters of subjective taste. This is more along the lines of a viewer not enjoying the music style you chose, or the art style striking them as ugly, or they would prefer more female characters on screen rather than male, that sort of thing. A lot of times, observations of flaws are mixed up with subjective matters of taste, and it can be difficult to separate the two, especially if you are being critiqued by someone with a lot more expertise and experience. You may be tempted to follow their footsteps in matters of taste and style, when you should be finding your own voice. Here's the best test I've learned to differentiate between flaws and taste. If a suggestion from another person is something you would have done if you thought of it, make that change. If it's something you wouldn't have done on your own, ignore that particular piece of advice. This is not a perfect test, of course, because your lack of skill and experience for your own pretentiousness and pride can cause you to see flaws as a matter of taste, or vice versa. But as you practice and improve, as long as you keep an open mind and willingness to learn, you will get better at it. Before I go, I want to correct those quotes I mentioned in my first video. Vincent van Gogh, "If I am worth anything later, I am worth something now. For wheat is wheat, even if people think it is grass in the beginning." Anton Ego in Ratatouille. In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little, yet enjoy a position over those who offer up their work and themselves to our judgment. We thrive on negative criticism, which is fun to write and to read. But the bitter truth we critics must face is that in the grand scheme of things, the average piece of junk is probably more meaningful than our criticism designating it so. I think both of those quotes are worth thinking about. There's a lot more that can be said about criticism, both how to give it and how to take it, but that's all I wanted to express for this video. I look forward to discussing it further in the comments or in video responses or on Discord or on X/Twitter. Wherever you are, keep going.